Have you
Mhm.
seen fairies? Have you even seen a fairy? And would you like to learn how to find them?
Welcome to the Angelscapes podcast, where you're encouraged to uncover and develop a direct connection with your soul's power, wisdom, and spiritual intuition that is ready to blossom. We'll explore new ideas, compelling tips, and real steps to help you learn simple spiritual practices. We're a safe place to learn more about accessing your soul's power with education and spiritual wholeness that could bring more clarity to your life. Now here's your host, a practicing medium, Akashic Records practitioner, spirit artist, coach, and mentor, Dr. Reverend Nancy Smith.
Hello, this is Angelscapes, and I'm your host, Nancy Smith, and I am your guide to living a soul-powered life and a mysterious life filled with fairies. So joining me is Christopher Losee, and he's going to talk about fairies and other wee folk because he has lots of stories to tell. And fae folk and fairies are kind of like part of many cultures. You can read about them all kinds of places. They're hidden from sight, so they're believed to be a myth. So every myth has a little bit of truth in it, and let's learn to where to find these fairies, and let's just kind of learn about why they're still here, why they are around. So Chris Losee,
Mhm.
called the Blue Rose Mystic since he was a child. So we're going to talk about a little bit of his childhood, and he is an oracle card reader. And what is so very cool about Chris is that he's made his own oracle deck, which he reads from. And sometimes when he's doing the cards, they just fly open, and that's the reading. Um,
Mhm.
and he's Reiki master. He's the gods and the goddesses and other beings, and I love to hear more about that. I love psychometry, love precog, empathic connections, energy sensing. I mean, I've known Chris for couple of years now. We've met up at
Mhm.
Lilydale, and his stories are endless. So welcome to the show, Chris.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so glad you're here. Now, tell me a little bit about this before we get all the way talking about fairies, because I know you'll launch. Where did this all start? You said since you were a little tiny guy, you were psychic.
Yes. Yeah. So what happened is I remember I was age 8 and my parents, my family, we all lived very close together and stuff. So I was a half a block from my mom's mom and dad. So we all used to everybody would do all the lawns and help each other with the gardening and stuff. So it was like 8 o'clock-ish at night and it was time for me to go to bed because, 8 years old. And I, of course, so what started happening was, and I didn't know what it was at the time. Now I lovingly call it dog with a bone, and it just goes. It's my bells are going off, and it's ding, 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 ding. Um, so what happened was I started saying something's wrong with Pa, something's wrong with Pa, something's wrong with Pa, and I was very adamant that there was something wrong with
Oh,
Pa, Mom's dad. And I just couldn't get over it. And I'm like, my parents had just gotten back. They're like, we just left them, and Mom's kind of like starting to think that now she's like, I'm gonna probably check. So what ended up happening was I went to bed. I woke up, it was like 10 or 10:30, I think, and our next door neighbor, Aunt Linda, was there in the living room with her paper.
oh,
I said, "Oh my gosh," I said, "what are you doing here?" And she goes, well, everybody's okay. Your parents are at the hospital. Your grandfather collapsed the second that they left.
wow.
And he's fine. He was totally fine and stuff. The doctors and everybody were working on him and stuff. But that's when my mom's like, "Oh yeah, he's got it." So I ended up starting with like precognitive dreaming. As I got into college, it was more empathing. It was really fun when Nana fell because then all of a sudden I was on the ground. It was a little bit super direct with her because we were super, super close. But I was able to empath with my family members and stuff. And then more abilities turned on and turned on and turned on. And then I finally went for a psychic development class. And I had gone to readings. I had had readings done
No, wait,
for
wait.
quite
How
some
old were
time.
you when you went for psychic development class?
Psychic development class, like a formal one, I was probably, oh Lord, it was, I think it was after college. Yeah. It
Okay,
would
so
have
a
been
little
after
bit.
college. So it would be like maybe like 2014, 2015 season.
Okay,
I
yeah,
remember it was with the phenomenal Katie Manning Hilton. I ended up having a 2-day psychic development class. It was a really good, like, starter course of awesomeness.
right, right.
And I ended up doing really well at it. And then I ended up she had given a little phone book of fabulous people if you wanted to keep reaching out. And I ended up reaching out to some of the people on her list, and they became great friends and mentors. And I learned so very much. And yeah, it was phenomenal. I learned. I have had past life regressions. I've ended up going to drum circles. My friend Zelda does all sorts of sacred. She does the sacred dream circles and stuff. I read at psychic fairs. I'm a member of the Three Fates. That's me, Tiffany Marie Butler Levine, and Corby Mitleid. We do past, present, future gallery readings. So
Wow.
people can ask a question about a past life or their past, present question, and I'm in charge of the future. And we go and go and go until we get through as many people as possible in the allotted time. So I do that too. But yeah, and then in college, I'll never forget this. That was a wild day. Very vividly remember it. I ended up learning how to commune with gods, goddesses, and beings. And that was kind of an interesting one.
Yeah.
One's like, how does that happen? Like, it was an interesting day. But once I ended up communing with who I communed with, the second I could talk to one god, goddess, or being, a god or goddess, I said, wait a minute, if you exist, they all exist. It's not like I didn't think they exist, but it's like irrefutable proof. And then it's like, oh, well, everybody exists. Then I just started chatting and we got to know each other. And it's like meeting old friends is what I say. Because half the time when people meet with, when a god or goddess or a being or somebody reaches out, it could be a new connection. I've had gods and goddesses and everybody reach out during readings. Sometimes it's they're connected or they worked with a person in a past life and they want to continue working with them. It could be that they just want to start working with them. There's no, but a good chunk of the time with me, it's like meeting old friends, and obviously very respectful, decorum. You always keep it very classy. But it's just wonderful, and I feel very blessed and honored to be able to commune. I talked to the Egyptian god Thoth, and I said, what is it that this is? Because I mean, everybody's always like, oh, psychic, medium, this, that. There's so many different titles and different things for everything. He says, no, what you're doing is communing. So that's why I use the term
Okay.
communing.
Community. Oh, I love that.
So
It's tough.
little old school, retro, ancient history kind of end of the spectrum there, I guess. But
That's perfect. You're communing, he says.
mhm,
You're communicating with all that is. I love that.
mhm.
And then you said the gods and the goddesses and all of the different modalities that came in. When did you start
Mm.
doing the earth, the fairies, the wee folk? Probably that was
The
all along.
fairies, I have always known or heard about fairies. Everybody, a lot of the time, I always tell everybody you hear about it more over in England, and there's that. I can't remember where it is in Ireland, Scotland, or England. It's over there, and it's that island which is very sacred, and it's like that is the fairy island, and it's like that is like the fairy island and stuff. So, like I had heard about it then. I never
Yeah.
physically saw fairies until I went to Lilydale. That was when I first went to Lilydale during the first, it was a big physical mediumship in Victorian times. That's when I physically first saw my first fairy. And then, of course, I had learned more that, fae is more of an overarching term and, fairies and fae, and there's um, a lot of good stuff going on with that. So, that's how it kind of blossomed out a little bit.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
I'm learning more as I go about fairies and dragons and stuff like that. And it's just it's fun because with the spiritual, everybody's always like, well, how do you get into it? I said, go to whatever you're drawn to. Then you'll probably end up in all the zones eventually. But it's always just you can always keep learning, which is so fabulous.
Well, we had when we met, it was the year after I was first introduced to fairies, and I saw them with
Mm.
Patricia, and
Yeah.
it was amazing. They were all so many different colors, and they were just so active. We went to this one specific spot, and
Hmm.
the next year we went. You were part of the
Yes.
group that went,
Hmm.
and that's when I was doused with fairy dust. And
Yes.
I
I
came
remember that.
home.
That was a wild time.
Yeah, my hands were covered with purple, my legs were covered with purple, and it was amazing. And I didn't know what it was. I said, "What did I get into?" But in any
Mm.
event, that connection, you seem to see. There's a question in here. You seem to see many earth beings, or when we're out, you more than I sense. So talk
Yeah, it
about
gets
that.
hypercharged at Lilydale too.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that,
because of the energies and all the fabulousness.
yeah.
But yeah, as I say, I'm always on. So everybody's like, "Do you turn?" I'm like, "No, I don't turn off. No, no, no."
You must get tired, but maybe you'll get tired when you're 50. I don't know.
No, no. Energizer Bunny, just rainbows and glitter, just going for decades.
Yeah. Um, but it's funny because you say rainbows and glitter and you say a lot of things that are fun but you know so much. Your intuition is strong um, in a lot of things. So when we saw the fairies,
Mm,
you knew a lot about what they liked and what they didn't like and what they felt safe
yes.
with and what they were capable of doing. Talk about that a little bit.
Yes. So, like you, I was introduced by Patricia at the spot, which I lovingly call the best spot because she introduced it to me. So, I had learned through friends, my friend Marie, I've learned through all of you guys, a lot of different things about fairies and what they like and what they don't. My friend Barb also introduced me to they like sweet things, and she had set up a whole beautiful array of things, and I learned a lot from her, and she had taught me a lot too.
Yeah.
So I learned basically, so Fairies 101, let's call it a little bit from my experiences. I'm learning still, so take this with, feel free to fact check me and all the fabulousness. So the first time I ever went for fairies was the same spot. Had no clue what I was getting at. I'm like, sure, it's Lilydale, cool, we're gonna try it out. And it was just amazing because they literally look like, everybody's seen Tinkerbell, right? So they're about like this tall. And when you can see them super clear, I mean, you saw the person, you could see the little person with the wings. It was amazing. And they're not like, oh, it's a firefly, blip, blip, blip. Like you can tell a firefly from a fairy in a minute. I mean, fireflies aren't purple, pink, red, or, orange. Maybe they may be orange, but green,
Yeah.
blue.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
irrefutable. And the flight patterns were very zippy. And it's like blink, 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 blink.
Yeah.
It's very distinctive behaviors and whatnot. But the first time I ever went to see fairies, I had no clue what I was doing. I felt very rude. I didn't bring anything, brought no crystals, brought no sparkly things. I don't even think I had the chocolate. Um, was totally unprepared, just kind of beamed out rainbows and hoped for the best with the rest of everybody who was there. And, it worked really well. So then the second time we went, we saw fairies. It was cool, and there's all sorts of stuff because what happened was I was just you're in the middle of the dark, so it kind of reminds me of like physical mediumship where you're in the dark, so you start kind of going like helicopter and looking around, right?
Right.
Even
Right.
though you
Right.
can see with your eyes and it's dark enough, but there's moonlight. I mean, between Native American spirits, I remember, as I lovingly called them, the glow in the dark beings. If anybody saw, I think it was a UFO related thing, but I don't know if these things were UFO related, but they were very glow in the dark, and they would kind of come up and you could see all the different things, and you would hear different things and different
Yeah.
tells for different beings.
Yeah.
So,
Just cuddling and things up in the trees and
oh
yeah.
yeah.
There was
So
one
then
thing
the
that was
second
climbing the tree. Yeah.
Yeah, there's something climbing the tree. That last time when we were together, I don't know what that was. That was very interesting. So the second time I said, okay, I'm going. I heard they like shiny. I heard they like rainbows. I got the most. If for everybody who doesn't know, this is my fabulous outfit of awesomeness when I'm reading usually, but I wear a lot of sequins. I had my most intense sequin shirt on, and I had that. I went full glamour, full glitz. I had some snow caps, and I said, you know what? We're gonna bring an offering. I got a crystal. Went shopping, did a cute little offering. Everything was biodegradable and fabulous and totally safe. Don't go, leaving like toxic chemicals or
Yeah.
something in the woods. So I remember I'm sitting there and we're at the spot, and I have a lot of crystals and a lot of different things on me for various reasons, and I have my watch. And I'm sitting there and I'm just tuning in, and I'm just, listening and looking around and seeing what I'm seeing and stuff. And I can feel like there's like little like poking and prods on me and on my watch and stuff. I can feel people like kind of playing with my stuff. And I'm like, they're closer than they look. So it was very fun. Um, so when we went to see the fairies this last time, I just know the procedure based on what I had learned and what I had heard from friends and how we had gone down to the spot before. So I knew it's just a generalized thing and add a little bit of bells and whistles. So basically, here it first of all needs to not be raining. They won't come out if it's raining, or if it's been raining nearby, it's a 50-50. If it's still dripping, they don't really like water. They don't want to be photographed in photography, no photography and stuff, because it's a trust thing. It's very much a trust in a relationship thing you're building with the fairies, because they're not super trusting because of past history with everything with humans. And I mean, everybody can understand that. So you kind of go down, you go find your spot wherever you'd like to commune and stuff. They like sweet things, so like honey's really good. Whatever your cup of tea is for some sweet, some shiny crystals. I had brought Herkimer diamonds. I thought
Right,
that would
look
be
at that.
extra
Yeah,
bougie of me, and it's good for protection and stuff. But I figured they'd like some high octane
yeah.
quartz of awesomeness. So,
I
um,
remember I got Sour Patch Kids, and I
yep,
just
the Sour Patch Kids still carry on. I still got the bag. It's still.
I gave you like this
the,
huge bag, and I said, "You take it. I can't. We can't."
oh,
But when we were doing this, now one year I was there with just one person, my sister, and then I was
hmm
talking to Patricia about it from long distance, and she was saying the smoke was carrying over from a huge forest fire, I think in Canada. I don't.
mm,
Sounds like it was in Canada because we were up where we were, and they were struggling with the smoke, and then so there were there, but not that many. And then this past June when we were
mm,
out there, I saw it wasn't the first time, but I saw like black outlines or black. I'd be looking into the woods, and there
mm,
the moonlight's hitting things, so there's different grays. But then all of a
hmm
sudden it would be black and in a kind of a shape. So something was standing in front of and blacking it out. We thought maybe they were gnomes, or a different kind of elemental. And
So yeah, it very much can be. So the other thing here is if anybody's going to reach out to the fairies, you're going to not just bump into fairies. You're going to go out to a place that's, you don't have to go like 8 miles into the woods. You can go into a nice little flower field or something. It doesn't have to be dangerous. Keep it safe and, don't, be safe, guys. But you can go out and just be in a nice flower field and just do a polite little, thing there. Put your offering stuff out away from you, so that way they can feel more comfortable to come get that
if you're
stuff.
too close, yeah, you don't want to just lift your hand
Because
and say, "Come get it." That won't
yeah, I
happen.
mean, it's not, this isn't like, you want to have a respectful distance and stuff. But they'll come, you beam out rainbows and sunshine and happiness and say you love them and that you're come in peace, declare your intentions. They're gonna test it out and stuff. They might keep a little
Yeah.
distance, but once they realize that you're good, you keep your word, you don't do the photography, you don't do any of that stuff. And you keep on your whatever kind of blanket thing and you stay there and you do it. But
They
yeah, I
they love the
remember.
singing. They remember we
Oh
sang.
yeah.
They love music. They love. Did you play something from your iPhone, or did we all just sing?
I think we may have sang a little bit. I can't remember. They like singing, they like music. It's all about happy vibes and they're happy and like glittery and sunshine and they're all about that stuff. I mean, and with the beings that we were seeing, there's elementals out there, Native American spirits, there's going to be a lot of different beings. You just be respectful and honor everybody and, keep it classy, clean up after yourself when you leave and stuff. But yeah, it was very interesting. I ended up going with friends to go see the fairies once, and we ended up encountering gnomes. And I saw a gnome. Like it was like literally, it's like this tall. It looked very, earthy, but then the face looked very like classic, like you'd see it, it's in all the decorations. But it ran up like this, and then it saw, and I went, oh dear, and it went back. It was pretty interesting, but it was very
That's so neat.
bioluminescent.
Yeah.
Think of it like the stars that you used to have on the ceiling that would be glow in the dark, that kind of an effect. So, but yeah, it was cool. It's always very
Okay.
cool. And it's amazing because it's mythological and it's amazing to see that there's truth in legends.
Well, it is. It really, really is. And oftentimes it's discouraging to you just get stopped. You just get like, I don't want to hear it, or
Hmm
the people laugh you out or something like that. And
hmm
I don't really share my experiences unless I have a spirit,
Yeah.
somebody who's going to hear me and want to hear it and think, "Oh, that's really cool." But I did notice that there were things that the fairies were happy with, and then there was things that
mm
happened in the nature around us that they kind of got quiet. They
mm.
do you recall that where they were bouncing all over the place and then they got a little quiet and then they came back a little bit.
Yeah, I remember that they were kind of like, it was it was a little bit touch and go, and then things were really flowing and stuff. I mean, everybody was doing a really good job at getting it's a group effort always too. It's not just,
Yeah,
oh, one person can, it's not, it's a group effort with everything, and you bring the right
exactly.
vibes in. Oh, everybody needs, I
Good
tell everybody,
people.
go with an open mind. That's what I was told. Go with an
Yeah,
open mind. You're going to learn something new.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, I mean, it definitely seemed like it came close, and then they backed off, and then they came closer again. And they're it's trust. It's again trust, and are
Yeah,
you following and doing things, and are
yeah.
you they're going to be a little standoffish anyway because of history and things like that. But as long as you're keeping it classy and keeping it rainbows, it'll be
Mhm.
good.
So we
So
did,
yeah.
yeah. So you said a little bit earlier, we found a place, and actually we were heading out to what's called the Stump in Lilydale, and there were a ton of fairies as we walked down the trail in the woods. So they were
Hmm.
kind of following us. But you had said something. Oh my God, I'm losing it here. That or we were all experiencing how to find them. And since we know that place and we've memorized this place, people say, well, where is it? I want to go see them. However,
Uh-huh.
where in your neighborhood, you know what I mean? In your
Hmm.
home, I always have assumed that the fairies aren't around because there's too many people. And I am wondering if that's maybe also a myth. Like if I had, had in a backyard, if I had a couple of bushes and I had places where they could hide,
Yeah.
would I create a space, an environment? I know they like moss, an environment
Hmm.
where I could invite them. And I'm saying this for everybody,
Yes.
but
Yes, from what I've heard from friends. I have a friend who has built a space and reached out, and they'll come and they'll visit, and they know, and it's you've opened the channel of
Mhm.
communication, and you can do it. People will build fairy gardens for them. They'll build habitats, and giving them some cover and stuff is lovely. You don't have to just go to Lilydale to see the fairies. They're everywhere.
Everywhere.
But I think in a little bit quieter area, maybe a little bit more natural and woodsy, or
Mhm.
if you have a little bit more privacy, it's going to help because there's going to be less attempts at, interference in trying to reach out, or, they'll be a bit more relaxed with it, or a bit more trusting because they're like, oh, it's your yard. You don't have neighbors on top of you or something like that. Yeah, you can see them at Lilydale, but you can see them everywhere.
Well, I
Just be
noticed, yeah,
respectful.
at Lilydale, I was walking around the fairy garden. They have the little
Hmm.
houses and they have some
Oh,
beautiful,
yes.
but I didn't see them there. I saw them when there was just a path and bushes and not pretty much
Oh,
nothing.
yes. So, I had gone to the ferry trail. I don't tend to go there at nighttime because you don't want to fall over everything. I tell everybody it's like, first of all, it's such a beautiful place. You don't want to, bumble, you don't want
Smush
to
the
accidentally
houses,
knock
yeah.
anything over or anything. But there's a bench out front of the fairy woods, as we'll call them there, the fairy trail. And I was there with a friend, and what happened was, we were just sitting there, and we were going to go and see the fairies. We were going to go see fairies and stuff like that. So I had a ton of chocolate on me, and I hear rustling behind me. And I heard it and I said, okay, they realize they don't, and I turn around and look over, nothing.
Chocolate.
And then I'm like, okay, I'm like thinking to myself, I'm like, I'm going to do it again. And I'm going to let him I'm going to give him like a good 20 seconds. Then I'm going to catch. And I did. So I waited the 20 seconds. I turn around. All of the leaves on the ground were up like this. And they went, oh my God. And then they went flat. I'm like, aha. I said, okay, that's first of all, haven't seen that before. That's kind of wild. I said, okay. I said, would you like some of what I have brought for some fairy stuff? And they did, and you could hear them munching and stuff, and they were pretty chill. It was very nice. And I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna put it far over here. I'm gonna put it over here so that way you can do it at your own leisure, and it's far away, and you can go do that. And I'm not gonna look, and you don't have to worry about it. But it happens. But yeah, I mean, the problem always is like, it's like there was these like big touristy locations and things too, because it's like, oh well, you can go here and you'll find these beautiful stones, and then everybody, like, it's all over like Channel 10 News, it's all over TikTok, and then there's nothing left too. So you don't want to just be like, oh yeah, you can only go there. But yeah, that's why it's like it's really cool. You can do it in small groups, and small groups helped too.
Yeah.
And it's very cool. I accidentally caught a fairy on a trail cam once. I did not keep the footage. I
Oh.
just thought, it's probably better that certain things remain secrets,
Oh, that's true. That's true. I was at Camp Etna, which is another spiritualist camp, but it's up in Maine. And
Uh-huh.
somebody took care of this. There's a spot there that's a healing spot. And
Mm,
she was a caretaker of it. She kept the weeds out, and she one day decided to put solar lights, so very low light solar lights, just to kind
mhm,
of people can make their way to the healing rock at night if they want to meditate. And she was taking a picture on her camera,
mm.
just of how beautiful these lights are. And then so she's not seeing anything, but then she's looking at a camera, and all of a sudden there's this movement, this light
Ooh.
movement, and it kept coming closer and closer until it was right just within, oh no, 3 feet. So you actually saw the movement of the wings, and you saw the outline
Mm.
of the body, and it was she felt it was thanking her for putting, because they love lights, they for the solar
Oh,
lights.
gotcha.
And then it did a little dance, and it moved over to the side, and then it went away. And I watched it like 5 6 times. The video
I
was
love
was
it.
was very sweet. It was a thank you in response, but
Mm.
you couldn't see it with the naked eye, but you could see it through, I don't know how, and there was no way she doctored anything. It was just totally spontaneous. She goes, "Look at this."
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I have a feeling that they're in areas where people have a higher vibration, or just they know,
Hmm.
they have the well-being of everybody else in their mind, or and their
Hmm.
hearts are open. And but sometimes you're in a bad mood, and I think the fairies could still show show up for that. But-
It's okay. They might be able to just be like, here, glitter, boom. Who doesn't get happy and fabulous when you see some magical awesomeness? Absolutely.
Absolutely, it's beautiful. So that we've got all kinds of elementals. We've talked about fairies, and we've talked about the gnomes, and then there
Hmm.
was some Native American stuff. What
Hmm.
else do you know about? What else have you experienced in terms of elementals?
So, I ended up going to a physical mediumship session at K Seance thing, and I had asked a question at this particular one, and I was just curious because I talked to a lot of different gods, goddesses, beings, etc. I was curious. I said, "Is there anybody who wants to? Am I missing anybody? I don't want to be rude. If I'm missing signs or something, is there any other beings that want to talk? You
Mhm.
know?" And I got the answer of the elementals would like to chat. And I said, "Oh gosh," I said, "all right." I said, "I'll reach out." And how does one do? So then I asked around, and again, you ask your friends. Everybody, we're all spiritual and fabulous, and rainbows and glitter and magical, and everybody's got different experiences and different areas of expertise. So I asked around. I started reaching out to them and stuff. I usually, if I'm out, we have a lovely field nearby where I'm currently at.
Mhm.
I've gone out, and there's an elemental out there. And I'm always like, I'm just going up to the edge of the pavement, just the pavement in this beautiful field of just nature. It's just natural, I like it. It's charming. It has some flowers, and it's got natural wildflowers and stuff. And I can always feel it go. It's like don't go further. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna go closer. Okay, I respect your boundaries. I'm not gonna go closer. So it's like, okay. And I'm like, all right, cool. So every time it's become a thing. And I'm like, yeah, don't worry about it. I'm not coming closer. I want to go into the high grasses, with ticks and craziness. So it's nice just to go out there and vibe and be with the stars sometimes and whatnot. So other beings, elementals, I've reached out to elemental beings. They're just I mean, I find them to be protectors of the earth. Keep it classy. If you're going to cut down trees, you should probably tell them.
Yes, yes.
Also, apologize, honor the trees you're cutting down, and also replant some trees, plant a garden, do something to be
Okay.
like, hey, you know, I'm not clear cutting and just going to put a factory here and like totally trash the place. I'm just doing some gardening, you know.
Yeah, maintenance.
I
Yeah,
find,
right. Yeah.
yeah, so it's like honoring the land. So I mean, there's been that's my you know, I've talked to elementals and whatnot. I've it's been, I know they're around in that they're around. I have talked to them occasionally and stuff. But you know, it's kind of like you meet them as you go and stuff, and you know, you kind of feel the vibes out, see where everybody's at.
Hmm. Hmm.
As far as other beings, I've encountered some dragons. That has been recent. That's been very interesting.
Oh, interesting.
They're
Yeah.
it's just psychically, I'm not sick. You know, if I woke up, I came out into the living room and there was a dragon there, I'd be like, okay, I need to do a vibe check. I got to call some people. I got to call my friends and be like, am I awake right now? Have we ascended? You know, have we gone into like the 11th dimension or something? Never say never. All sorts of cool things happen, I guess, in regards to things. So never, not putting limits on it. Um, in regards to aliens, that's been always an intriguing point. That's an area I'm still learning about. I do know a lot about various, you know, I ended up getting read by a gentleman who connects and communes with the Arcturians, aka the Blues. And that was a very interesting reading. I've been to many psychic readings in my time and many different readings. I would call that a reading in just reading in general. That was the first reading I've ever been physically overheated. Like I physically overheated after the
Oh,
reading. It was
wow.
interesting. He was a lovely gentleman, amazing. Reading was completely on point, obviously, but he reached out to them as opposed to like you
Really?
know that. So that's how he did. So you know, aliens are a whole nother area because I mean, heavens knows there's so much between the cup and the lip with that. They're out there. I mean, look at all the
Oh, yeah.
drones and all the things, and there's been so much in recent memory with all of that stuff. But you know, my personal experience is limited in regards to that. So it was a very interesting reading.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you know, I've communed more with gods, goddesses, and whatnot. Elementals are great. Who else? I mean, it's been interesting meeting. Sometimes people will be like, "Well, who's my guide?" and stuff like that, and you know, who's working with me, and I just kind of take a look around and I see who I see, and then
Hmm.
you know,
Hmm.
I've seen everything from stone beings to people who look like their silhouettes who look like trees,
Right. Right.
animal spirits. Um, I mean, you name it. It's amazing how much is out there. I always tell everybody, you're not alone. There's every manner of being, God, goddess being, you know, whoever you're praying to, everybody's around, everybody exists. That's my belief system. What do I believe? I believe everybody exists and everybody gets along and they have their own way of doing. So it's very comforting because you always can just be like, hey, my spiritual team, help me out. It doesn't matter if you don't know who they are. Just say, hey, my spiritual team, hey, my spirit guides, hey,
Yeah.
my guardian angels, whoever you want to talk to, you know, hey, help me out, my spiritual team, and they'll come, you know. All you have to do is ask.
I know, they're amazing. I've never thought to interact with a fairy or a gnome or an elemental for a guide. I think maybe for guidance, but for help or for I think I
Mhm,
just want to observe them and just see what can I do for you. But
mhm.
I've never thought them as being guidance. But I have a feeling they would have a lot to say about how to take
Oh,
care of the
yeah.
planet and how what's working and what's not working and get rid of those straws and all kinds of things. But
Hmm.
that would be. What do you think fairies and the elementals would want us to know right now about how to walk the earth?
Okay. This is me talking, not them talking, as I always say in my readings. What would I think that they would want to talk about? See, I always just would ask. So every time anybody's like, "Well, what does everybody think?" I usually will just ask them and just get their what they
Yeah,
see. I don't.
yeah,
Who would I have as a point? But oh, hi, yeah, that also that could work. Um, Let me see really quick.
yeah. I could.
I haven't tried to direct out, you know, like usually if you it's more like you kind of bump into everybody and you chat more or less. It's not
Yeah,
like I agree with you. Like it's not like you, I mean, obviously there's Morgan Le Fay, who is of course very fabulous, who, you know, there's various, you know, I have
Ariel,
friends who
my
are
angel
talking about there's
Ariel.
different
Yeah,
fairy beings and stuff that are
yeah.
that maybe a bit more known than others and stuff that you can reach out to, but trying to directly know. I mean, I think it would be that, you know, All right, my team, what do you think? Yeah, protect the land. Honestly, protect the land. It's protecting nature, protect the land. Um, Spread love, spread happiness. It's that end of the spectrum of stuff. It's what you would think because I mean if it's no different than, I always wanted to save the rainforest and the coral reefs when I was a kid. That was one of my big goals and dreams. And I'm happy to hear that there are reefs that are self-repairing and there's all sorts
Right.
of ways that everybody's repairing it. Now I think we just need to just protect the rainforest needs to be just replanted, regrown, and tripled in size and just protected and put as like a UNESCO site or something that can't be touched or sold or anything.
Right.
But I mean, if all the magical creatures and everybody who are out there, we got to protect the land, protect the nature, and just spread some love and happiness. I mean, I keep saying this to everybody. We could just be having mimosas on the beach and just having a good time gardening, painting, and just being happy and spending time with everybody and not being like
Mhm.
war and famine and chaos and rawr and stuff.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
we need to bring more of that fabulousness and random gatherings with some, good cookies like Villa Italia's over here in the fabulous capital region, get some good stuff and hang out with everybody and you know, I firmly believe that all of the gods, goddesses, and beings, they haven't been gone. It's not like they've been gone. They're around, but I think that they're definitely coming more to the forefront of everything,
Oh,
and they're definitely stepping forward and are very much announcing themselves more so now. Not that they haven't been, but it's like I think because of TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and everything, I think people are able to see the announcements, the signs, and stuff. I mean, there's various people who are watching the various temples and all that stuff. It's refreshing because, it's all good.
absolutely. Absolutely. Um, do you think fairies? I was uh, we had gone to see fairies, I think twice. I don't know.
Hmm.
I was staying at one of the houses, I think on Third Street or whatever, and my window was wide open and the fan was running through it. I had a screen, but I kept waking up all night long with things shooting across my room.
Oh, wow.
Do you think they would ever come inside, come indoors? I don't know why they wouldn't, but
Yeah, I've heard of reports where fairies have been in the houses and stuff. I mean, paranormal wise, there can be spirits and things
oh,
where
that's
things
true.
go missing and stuff.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
are times when, things can go missing, I think, with the Fae, if I remember correctly. But yeah, I think that they can come in, they can be in the house and stuff, but I think they'd be happier probably outdoors rather than indoors,
Well,
unless
I
it's
would
like, oh
think
my
so.
gosh, there's like hurricane force winds, everybody pile in, you get the deer, you get the foxes, everybody get in the dang house and get in the garage,
Yeah.
and everybody chill.
Cover, go for cover. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Anyway, I was just kind of curious. I think they're mostly outdoor
Hmm.
meetings. I feel like I connected with a dragon once in a way out in the it was huge. It was asleep. It was underground, and for some reason I was able to connect to it while it was underground, and I felt like this massiveness to it. My sense was that everything has to move, everything has to change, everything has to shift, and
Hmm.
but something so massive would shift slowly and meticulously and methodically. I feel like they're way more aware of us than we are of them, is what my sense is as I connected to him, and I also felt like he had a lot of helpers around him as well. It was really fascinating,
Hmm.
and
Oh, yeah.
I felt like the message was that the, the planet is a living being with many living beings that are on it, not just us, and and that some of those spiritual beings, elementals can be huge, they can be tiny, are weaving the planet together in a way. And
Oh, definitely.
I feel like they need to make a shift. They're making a shift. What they had is now breaking up, and now they're making a new one because
Hmm.
nothing in nature is the same. It continues to change. And I was saying, um, are we going to, are we going through changes? What's happening? And I just felt this incredible love from this huge being about being aware of humanity and humanity's inability to be flexible and inability to understand what's around them, and yet their tenderness or their respect. Not that they
Oh,
want to
yeah.
put that on. And it was lovely. But there was also a warning that says, we got to move, we got to change, we got to do some things differently.
Hmm.
You're used to this, and you're going to have to not be used to this anymore. It was really kind of interesting. And I don't know what this meant. And I said, can you give me more information? They were kind of speaking generally. But
Hmm.
but as I watch what's happening on the earth now, there's a lot of things moving. The
Yes.
water's reforming itself in different places, and the earth is moving quite a bit. I think we had
Hmm.
an earthquake out here in New England
Mm.
today. But in any event, what am I trying to say? I'm just answering my own questions. Do the fairies ever talk to you and tell you what's going on? Like, there's change afoot. And
There is definitely change afoot. I mean, look at what happened in 2020. I mean, Mother Gaia was going through evolution, ascension. Forgive me, it's been a quick minute on all of that stuff. But I mean, Mother Gaia was going through shifts and changes and stuff too. I mean, there's so much change going on in the world, and I'm sure that they're helping. Everybody's helping on all ends of the spectrum of everybody is helping with the shifts and helping to guide the shifts and protect. Well, I wouldn't say so far as to say I got a ding with that. I'm like, all right, I'm not going to speak for anybody. Let's not talk for anybody on that one. I'm going to rescind that comment. But I know that they're present and they're protecting and helping people. And I'm sure that there's a lot of, I mean, I always say in a reading and when I'm reading and doing stuff, if it's above my pay grade, some things are above our pay grade, even all of us who are
absolutely.
fabulously
Yeah.
metaphysically inclined
Yeah.
and intrigued and everything.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's above our pay grade. Guess what? I don't need to know. It's nice sometimes when you get that
Yeah.
peek behind the curtain, that extra. We can see a lot and we can do a lot. All of us can do all of our fabulousness a lot. But sometimes you get that extra peek behind the curtain, and that's always like super, super cool. But other
Yeah.
times it's like, you know what? I don't need to know that.
No, I need to
It's
know
like,
that.
you know what? Sometimes you just trust and let them do what they need to do and
Like,
just be
what do
like,
I
yeah,
need to know now? Let me
yeah.
know. And
It's
then
like I
and
just
then I
trust, you
trust.
know?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But I think to me the whole thing with fairies, what my fascination and elementals, I say fairies, but all of them,
Mhm.
because I was experiencing them after going there a couple of times. The other one, the new ones, is that there's a whole big world that is a whole nother.
Mm,
I don't know if it's another plane of existence or we're just dense and don't notice things. But when we take the time to
mm.
notice things, wow, look at this or look at that. But anyway, that's my. Do you have anything I wanted to say before we go on to another topic? Is Christopher Losee is on Facebook. We're going live on Facebook now, and when this goes off
Mhm.
to the podcast world, you can find Christopher at Blue Rose Mystic on Facebook. You can
Yep.
find him Christopher Losee, Losee, on Facebook, and he does do readings. Like I said, he had his own oracle deck. Hopefully, he'll sell it someday, and so he's available for if you're local to him in upstate New York. You,
Yep. Capital Region area, New York, Albany area, and all of
yeah,
that fabulousness.
you,
I'm free for readings there. You can find me at the Blue
yeah,
Rose Mystic on
yeah,
Facebook. That's the easiest way to
and
reach me.
online, right? You're also
Yeah,
online. Yeah.
it's Instagram, TikTok, but Facebook's my main hub. Is my
Okay.
The Blue Rose
Yeah.
Mystic page on Facebook's where you can
Okay.
find me, and rainbows and glitter for all.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now, and I know I love the way you talk, and I love that you have so much fun whenever we're together. You just lift the energy wherever you are, and it's a
Thank
blast.
you.
But I have to say that all of our conversations have had a certain groundedness to them. I just want to compliment you on how I can talk to you about anything. And you're there, and you got a strong connection. So getting a reading with Chris, you'll get connected and you'll get really solid information that you maybe hadn't thought of before, but you could work with. So I really
Hmm?
recommend reaching out to the Blue
Thank you
Rose
so much.
District. Oh, you're so welcome. You're so welcome. Do you have any other last minute kind of let's throw this in to the elementals talk?
Oh yeah. All right. Let's see. All right, guys, talk to me. What do we got? Anything else? My team. Hmm, that's interesting. I'm hearing a stream of talking. I'm psychically listening. The elementals will reveal themselves to protect, they will reveal themselves to protect the land. They'll reveal themselves to who, say that again? Will protect the land. Oh, hi. Okay, I know who I'm talking to now. Um, Perfect. The land needs to be expanded and the hearts need to be united. It's like the image I'm getting is like greenery overtaking like some of the areas where it's been removed from it. You know, it's like expanding the forest and expanding nature is the sense to it.
Okay.
Who knows? Anything else, guys? The elementals will be there for, okay, one more time. I'm hearing the elementals be there for those who wish to talk, but they will read the energy of those who reach out. So obviously they're going
Okay.
to background check you. So to no surprise, they're going to do a vibe check and they're going to check that energy and go, let's see, you know? But yes,
Yeah.
but yeah, elementals are wonderful. I think that they're just another wonderful kind of being that protects the land and stuff. I mean, I'm sure that there's elementals protecting people on teams and stuff. There's all different classifications probably of them as well. And you know, there's probably everybody in between on all different ends of the spectrum of them too. So, I mean, I just, you know, parlay it back to, you know, let's plant some more trees, let's expand nature, you know, honor the beings, you know, plant a tree and say this is for you, the element for the elementals. They'll
Yeah.
love that,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
sure, you know. Even if it's like Russian sage, plant a garden, you know, just be like, hey, honoring the earth, you know.
Yeah. Lavender. I
That's
think
my
they.
thought on it.
Yeah.
Sorry, totally went out there for a minute, but yeah, I just started receiving. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, we're going that way now. So,
Yeah, when you said that you saw the green coming back to where green was taking, I actually was seeing with you. I know you. I think you went to the rainforest, but I was actually going to neighborhoods,
mhm.
and in urban areas where you can have a lot more greenery.
Oh,
In those
definitely. I think we need
areas.
more community gardens and stuff too. I
Yeah,
mean, just simple but
absolutely.
elegant, you know. France
Yeah,
and Europe have a lot of the rooftop ones. There's no reason we can't put like some green archways and stuff.
yeah, yeah, and yeah. I think this is a great conversation. I have a feeling we'll have this conversation again next year.
Oh, absolutely.
It's been a lot
With
of
more
fun.
fabulousness.
Yeah, yeah, and more to come, more to be revealed, and
Hmm.
and I recommend, to everyone go to Lilydale if you can. It's a magical place, and I
Oh,
know that
definitely.
somebody saw a ship, actually alien ship, hover over the lake in Lilydale for a little bit.
Really?
Yeah, she
When
was
was
sitting
that?
well, it was a couple years ago. I want to give it two,
Mm.
3 years, and she was sitting on the porch, there's Maplewood Hotel, that big porch where they
Mm.
have all the rocket chairs.
Oh,
She,
yeah. Well, you'd have a
yeah,
perfect shot of the lake right there. You could
I
easily
said,
see the
yeah.
whole blooming lake.
So she was watching the lake and she said, what is that funny light out there? And she's like, oh no.
Mm.
So there's a lot of stuff that goes on in Lilydale because there's so much high vibration. People are just coming together to meditate, to teach higher conscious living, and it's a mecca of amazing, crazy stuff. So I recommend a trip out there. But I also
Hmm.
recommend give Chris a shout out, and yeah. So I have so much fun bringing people on to the podcast, that can bring a whole new perspective. It's all about soul power living. It's all about going beyond your normal thing and finding out something a bit bigger. Always felt like, Chris, I wanted you on the podcast for a while because you have that. We're going out, we're going outside, we're going beyond the norm, and we're going to learn something really important. And so thank you for coming on, and thank you for being available to all my people who want to connect with you. And
Absolutely. Thank you
yeah,
so much for having me. This has been absolutely magical and fantabulous.
call me anytime. We'll just chat on any.
Absolutely. Same here. I'm at the end of
Okay.
my cell and at the end of my Facebook and all the thingies. So yes.
Awesome, awesome. So tell my peeps for now, stay in grace, look for the invisibles and be open to something you've never seen before, and stay in love and stay in your soul power. And that's it for this session, and then we'll see you next time. Thank you,
Mhm.
Chris.
Thank you for joining the Angelscapes podcast. We hope you've gained new insights and inspiration for your journey to uncover and access your soul's power. For more information and a deeper dive into finding clarity in your life, go to angelscapes.com. Remember to subscribe so you can be part of the discussion. It may just change your life. See you next time.